If I can get your attention, it's just after 7. We're going to go ahead and get our meeting started. If I could, can I have everybody stand and face the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance? For those that can't see it, it's up here in the front corner. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If I could get you to hold on just one more minute, we're going to have a quick prayer. Mr. Powell, would you care to lead us?
Father God, thank you for freedom and blessings this country has provided for us, freedom to assemble, freedom to advocate to protect our rights, freedom to speak our minds, and freedom to make decisions in a safe and secure environment. And help bless this country and this organization and all the people in it to continue to fight for our rights and our liberties. Bless all of the wait staff and the cooks and everyone that's prepared a meal tonight. I would ask your blessings on me tonight, so that my words might reach some folks, and that all of us are pulling together in the same direction, and that we're doing it all to glorify your name, and obtain your blessings, and to help our neighbors. And in your Son, Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. I want to let everybody know that we are recording our meeting tonight. We will be recording all of our meetings from now on. We're doing this so that we can post these on the Shoals Second Amendment group, on our page on Facebook, as well as on the Alabama Second Amendment group, which, for those of you that don't know, is a group that John and Carlos and I, along with Aaron Smith up in Lawrence County and some other people, have worked on and started as a way that all of our local groups can work together, so that nobody has to give up control of their group, nobody has to change the name of their group. They can still do everything they were doing already, but it gives us a way to work on things cooperatively on a statewide level. So we will be posting this. So if anybody doesn't want to be on camera, kind of duck down. One more thing that I want to go over just real quickly, and bear in mind some of this is just for the benefit of posting online. This is our open ledger that we bring to every meeting. I know hardly anybody has ever looked at this thing. It's open to the public. Anybody that wants to see it can. I'm going to just quickly go over where we're at money-wise as a group. Right now, we have a current balance in our group fund of $397.31. That does not reflect anything that's been done tonight, because we're just not that quick at keeping up with it. The major expenses that have came out of that, most of it's been that camcorder sitting in the back of the room that we're recording with. That was $300. We've spent $100 on some artwork and a banner which we used at the gun show. The rest of it's been office supplies, printing out the flyers and things that we use. Just miscellaneous expenses, basically. This is available for anybody that wants to look through it and tell us we did it wrong. You're more than welcome to, because we probably did. I also want to take a minute to thank a few people. I want to thank Brent Oliver with VPI Productions. They're the ones that host the gun shows. He donated us the table that we used at the gun show. Wouldn't take a penny for it. We offered to pay him. He didn't want it. He was happy that we're doing what we are and trying to support the Second Amendment in our community. So if you get a chance, go to his events. They're good events to go to. We're going to attempt to set up at some of his future events. We will definitely do the ones at Muscle Shoals. Depending on availability, we may actually be doing some up around Huntsville and Decatur. We'll update everyone on that as we go along and we get those plans firmed up. I want to thank Ryan Blessing at Southern Defense Supply. He has donated, or he is doing our gift certificate for tonight. This is what we're raffling off. We'll raffle off 70% of whatever we take in. In other words, if we take in $100 worth of tickets, this will be a $70 gift certificate. On those same tickets, you will also have a chance, if you don't win this, you have a chance at this gun cleaning kit. So you get 2 chances to win on that raffle. We've also got several door prizes up here. Those are the blue tickets that you have. Those are the free tickets. One other thing that Ryan is doing, he's giving 10% off on Kydex holsters to Shoals Second Amendment members. So if you're a member of the group and you need a new holster, he makes custom holsters. If he doesn't have a mold for it, if you take him the gun, they can make it. I don't care what you come up with. If you've got a flintlock that you want a holster to carry, they will make you one. So they've been good about supporting the group. I want to tell you about 2 events on the 7th. We have one event with the North Alabama Tea Party Patriots that their group and our group both will be out on the corner of Cox Creek Parkway and Florence Boulevard. We're going to take some signage out there. We're going to stand, hold signs from 11 to 1, try and draw a little bit of attention to both of our groups and what we're trying to do. Anybody that wants to come and participate, you're more than welcome to. The goal of this is to raise awareness and to make people more interested in both of our groups. We do not want to scare people. So feel free to carry whatever you normally carry, but we're not going to go out there with ARs and AKs over our shoulder and scare people. We want them to know about our group, but we want to do it in a positive way. Also on the 7th, I don't know how many of you ride or know Dog Freeman up at Elgin. He used to be in Lexington. He's moved over closer to Elgin now. He has a blood drive on the 7th. He told us about this at the gun show. This is the largest Life South, or the second largest Life South blood drive in Lauderdale County. The only people that beat him out last year was the Super Walmart. So this is a huge thing. It gives you a chance to help some people. You don't even have to know who you're helping. Just know that it helps people. So both of those will be on the 7th, which is this coming Saturday. I also want to thank Jason Gandy. He's here from Allstate at Long Lewis. They are going to donate.
Next Saturday.
Not this Saturday, next Saturday.
Oh, sorry. Next Saturday. My calendar's a little bit off. I told y'all I'd mess something up. This is Jason Gandy. He's from Long Lewis, from the Allstate Insurance Company over there. What they are going to do is they're going to donate $10 for everybody from Shoals Second Amendment. And it doesn't just have to be members. You can get your mom, your cousin, your brother, your sister, friends, anybody.
Join the group and then
Send them over to Long Lewis, and he's going to tell you more about this. But the important thing is be sure and let them know that you're from Shoals Second Amendment or Shoals Second Amendment sent you, and they will donate $10 to our Santas for Seniors for everybody that goes and does that. So the very worst thing you can do, you might waste a few minutes and decide not to get the insurance. You're not obligated to buy it. You might save some money on the insurance, but you definitely help our charity. Every penny of that money goes to help underprivileged local senior citizens. Last year we helped 108 of them. We spent, I think we spent about $2,800 on that last year. And it made their days. Carlos's wife Susan works in one of the homes that we took it to. And she said you'd have thought the real Santa Claus had showed up when they passed the bags out. So I'm going to give Jason a minute here and let him explain what they're doing.
So it's, like he said, it's, if you'll come in, I've got some handouts up here with all the information on it, but if you'll come in and, or I got my phone number here, you can call, email, or come in. If you'll let us quote you the insurance, like you said, it's no obligation to buy, we have to talk to you about it though. Quote you your insurance. We'll give $10 to anybody to shop for you and anybody else you send over. Friends, family, no limit on it. we give $10 to the charity. There's, I think, about 34 people in here tonight. That's $340 right there. If everybody here let us quote. And also, if you do it before the 6th next week, we're giving away a Glock 43. And if you'll fill out one of these and get it in, we'll put you in the drawing for that also. And the only qualifications are you got to have insurance. Allstate won't write you if you don't already have insurance, and you can't have Allstate insurance. But anybody else will quote, and if they'll tell us they're from Shoals Second Amendment, we'll put $10 towards y'all's Christmas charity. It won't take long. I got some forms up here that you can fill out tonight before you leave. And that's the information we need to get a quote for your car and your home. And we'll have it ready, and I'll call y'all instead of you having to call me. We'll go ahead and give you $10 for everyone you fill out tonight. You've got to the next meeting to do this and get it in, to the November meeting. If you got any questions, I'll be up here after the meeting's over with.
Guys, that's a good business right there. That could add up to a lot of money for our Santas for Seniors program. They could end up just about financing this thing by themselves. And you know, for those of you that know Josh Kelly, this is his insurance agency, and let's make him pay for it. Yeah, there's no limit on that. So as many people as we can get over there, the more the better. And we're going to run this up until our next Shoals Second Amendment meeting. Our next meeting is going to be Thursday, November the 19th. That's the Thursday before Thanksgiving. We'll have that at Champy's over in Muscle Shoals. Hopefully the weather will be nice. You know, they put us over on the side, but we normally have pretty nice weather this time of year without it being too cold or too hot. I want to introduce just briefly to you Ed Bowman. He is the Vice President of the North Alabama Tea Party Patriots. They're the group that we're going to go out and hold the signs with. We have started to work with them on several issues that some of what we do overlaps with what they do. So anytime you've got two groups that are trying to get the same thing done, it's always nice to help each other.
Thank you, Jeff. I just want to thank the Shoals Second Amendment for inviting us again. It's always great to be part of a group of people that are willing to stand up and speak out and fight if necessary for the rights that we hold dear, that God give us. And I want to reiterate on what he was talking about, the sign waving. This is a chance to show the public that we're not some bunch of wackos, that we're out actually doing something positive, you know, standing up for their rights also. So I think it's a good thing if we can get as many people as possible to come out and show up and just sign, you know, wave a sign for 2 hours, you know, big deal. But one last thing, and I won't stay long. I'm trying to gather names on a petition that we are trying to get Ted Cruz on the ballot in the state of Alabama. You don't have to if you don't want to. If you don't like him, that's fine. But I'm taking up names for people that want to get Ted Cruz's name on the ballot. How many is it we got to have? 500 statewide. The only two candidates right now in the Republican Party that, as of Saturday, were Jeb Bush and Ben Carson. So after the meeting, if you want to sign this to help us get Ted Cruz on the ballot in the state of Alabama, and also have stickers and buttons to come with that. So if you don't mind signing this before you leave. Thank you.
And this petition, this is just to get him on the ballot.
That's all it is, just to get him on the ballot. That's not
vote for him if they want to. All right. We've got two speakers here tonight that are going to speak to our group. One of them is Mr. Danny Pettis. He's running for chairman of the county commission here in Lauderdale County. And we've also got Mr. Will Powell. He's running for judge here in Lauderdale County. We've got a lot of judge candidates in here tonight for all the competition. But we're going to go ahead and let Mr. Powell start off, and he'll talk to us a little bit, and then allow us to ask him some questions.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm pretty loud. Can everybody hear me? All right. If I need to use the microphone, I'll be glad to. All right. First, let me do this. I got the meeting started before I got over here to y'all. Will Powell, good to meet y'all. All right. I wear a couple of hats. First off, like Jeff said, thank y'all for having me. I'm running for Circuit Court Judge, Place 2, running against Mr. Irby right here. We're two running against, you got both of us. I promise we're not going to fight. All right, we might debate, but we're not going to fight. All right, now, I'm also your Chief Assistant District Attorney. All right, we prosecute felonies, we prosecute criminals, we try jury cases, and we try to put bad guys in jail. That's what we try to do. All right, now, what does a group of Second Amendment advocates want to know about me as a prosecutor? All right, y'all remember a president named George W. Bush? Y'all remember him? Very well. He had a little platform called "To keep gun control laws from being promulgated, we need to do what?" What did President Bush say? Enforce the gun laws that are on the books. Y'all ever heard President Bush say that? He said it when he was running for president. When he became president, those are the policies he put into place. To keep new gun control laws from keeping law-abiding citizens from purchasing, possessing, or trading firearms, he wanted people to prosecute the existing gun laws that were on the books. That's what I did when I started as a prosecutor. I was one of those gun crime prosecutors that prosecuted gun violence. Now, why did we do that? Well, we want to make sure that we are holding bad people accountable for doing bad things with guns. That keeps politicians from trying to limit good people's rights to own, possess, trade firearms. Okay? That's the philosophy behind it. Okay? We were part of a joint state and federal task force for several years down in the state capitol in Montgomery. We partnered with the United States Attorney's Office, the ATF, the Attorney General's Office, and our local police department and sheriff's deputies. And we prosecuted criminals that had guns. Now that philosophy is important. It's the concept of a crime gun. All right, the fact that all of y'all are legal carrying, that's great. We support that. We want people to exercise their rights. But bad people doing bad things with guns, criminals in possession of guns, committing violence against people, we need to hold people accountable for that. We've always believed in that, and we will continue to believe in that. Now, that idea of a crime gun, what am I talking about? That's kind of a term of art that we like to have permeate through the criminal justice system. How many of y'all in this room think that making it harder to go to a gun store and buy a gun keeps a gun out of a criminal's hand? Does anybody believe that? All right. How does a criminal get a gun? Stealing it by committing crimes, breaking into my truck or your business or your house and stealing your gun. And then what do they do with it? That's the same. They take it to the dope house and they trade it to the dope dealer for dope. And that's how the drug dealer gets a gun. Okay? That's the concept of a crime gun. So when you educate the prosecutors and other prosecutors and the police about that concept of a crime gun, all of a sudden that B&E, the first question I have when I get a B&E case is what? What'd they steal? What'd they take? All right, because when your gun's stolen out of your car, when your gun's stolen out of your truck, I've got a crime gun going into circulation that I now need to deal with and do something with. That's not just a non-violent offense. I've got someone potentially putting a crime gun in circulation, which affects y'all. Because when somebody does something bad with that gun, is that a good thing? Not at all. All right, we want a group of people exercising their rights, advocating for safe, responsible gun ownership. And in turn, we're going to do our job to prosecute criminals doing bad things with firearms, and we're going to do that aggressively. Because in our minds, those two things go hand in hand. I've always believed that as a prosecutor. And I think that's important for a group like y'all to know about me. Now, I'm also in charge of helping train the police. I go to roll call trainings. And eventually when it gets to that question and answer period, they ask me, What do I do if? What happens with if? All right? And so what I would ask everybody in this room to do is, if you believe in the Second Amendment, like I do, you are an advocate for safe, responsible gun ownership. Can we all agree on that? Does everybody agree on that? All right? Groups like this in promoting safe, responsible gun ownership, I mean, I assume everyone in here is one of the good guys, right? Y'all are one of the good guys? Y'all are one of the good guys? Well, the police officers out there doing their job protecting us, they're the good guys too. All right? So if they respond to a dispatch call because someone has panicked and called 911 because somebody's open carrying, I would ask y'all to add to that list of things you can do to be a responsible, safe gun advocate is cooperate with those police officers when they get on that scene. All right? Don't be hostile. Don't be confrontational. Don't escalate a situation. Because who do you think are the biggest Second Amendment advocates in our community? The police. Who are the original gun enthusiasts? The original open carry advocates? The boys who get up every day and put that gun on their hip? They're those law enforcement officers. All right? And so when one of them get on the scene, you know, you got to understand the position that puts them in. You know, I'm not saying anybody's doing anything wrong by open carry. But when that 911 call comes in from some panicked mama who doesn't understand what's going on, it comes in as there's a guy in the park with a gun, oh no, kids are here. So what do my police officers do? Can they just assume it's one of y'all doing what you're supposed to be doing? Open carrying? No, they got to assume it might be some nut in a black trench coat getting ready to kill a bunch of kids. So they respond. All right, so when you get there, help them respond is what we need from a law enforcement perspective. Help them. Be cooperative. Identify yourselves. Let them, if they need to, help them to run a background check. Make sure we don't have any kind of situation where, you know, you're open carrying, they're open carrying. We don't want Tombstone, Arizona, or the OK Corral or anything like that going on. And respect the situation that they're in, because they've got to respond to that call. All right? And I know all of y'all do that. I know. You know, but I explain to them what is expected of them when they're responded to a call like that. And so I feel it's only fair that I make those same comments. And I know there are good people in this room, and y'all are going to do that for us, and we appreciate it. Okay? Now, how you doing? Good? All right, if anybody's interested in the federal law about guns, I've got copies of it right here. This is 18 United States Code 922G. These are all of the status offenses. For example, this is why it's important that we make sure we're identifying ourselves to the police. Can y'all pass these around if y'all want to? You know, the state law, as important as it is, and as much progress as we've made supporting open carry, it doesn't trump the federal law that still makes it a criminal offense for a felon to be in possession of a firearm. For someone who's got 400 unit papers to be in possession of a firearm. For someone dishonorably discharged, under a domestic violence restraining order, actively charged with a domestic violence charge. This is the federal law. It's a state law that makes it illegal for someone to be a habitual drunkard or a drug addict in possession of a firearm. These are old laws. These haven't changed. You know, this is what it means to enforce the law when it comes to criminals having guns. And that's what we do. And by us doing our job, it helps protect your rights, because we want good people to exercise their rights to own, keep, possess, sell, and trade firearms. And the way we feel like we help y'all do that is by getting criminals off the street doing bad things with guns. My name's Will Powell. I'm your Chief Assistant DA, and I'm running for Circuit Court Judge. Thank you for your time. Whatever y'all need.
Go ahead, Michael. You're
Yeah, I had a question. You mentioned something about when 911 calls come in, and you talked to the fact that you work with training the police officers. What are you guys doing internally to train the 911 operators to qualify those calls and not only qualify those calls, but educate the callers that are calling in on open carriers that open carry is legal, and find out if there's actually a law being broken before you dispatch the police to investigate it.
Sure.
For those that couldn't hear that, what Mr. Kirk asked,
You're not on. Hold on.
for those that couldn't hear, what Mr. Kirk asked was, what is Mr. Powell doing in order to,
Turn your button on.
I think my battery might be dead. He asked, what is Mr. Powell doing to train the police and the 911 dispatchers that open carry is legal and how to respond to that call, hopefully without assuming that the people are guilty to begin with. Go ahead.
I personally have never been asked to speak to the 911 dispatcher about training. I'll tell you frankly about that. I don't know what EMA does or what their chain of command is on explaining that to the 911 dispatchers. But what I'm asked to do is by the Chief Tyler or the Assistant Chiefs, the Deputy Chief, sometimes Sheriff Singleton, to come educate the officers about the status of the law, criminal procedure, and then what usually happens is the officers during the Q&A questions start asking me questions about scenarios they've dealt with. So that's a good point. What we may need to do is talk to George Braven over at EMA and ask him that question about what is going on to help train dispatchers in the same way we're training law enforcement. Yes.
Okay, so when the officer gets out there, after they find out that the person is actually legal and everything,
Right.
Are they taking the time then to educate the person that called in that no crime has been committed?
All right, we tell the officer that's part of what they need to respond to, in order, and that's also part of the philosophy. I'm not going to tell you how to be an advocacy group or anything like that, but I mean, if the public is not happy with what's going on, they're going to start doing what? Calling their legislature, calling their senators, trying to get more subsections added to that statute that allows people to regulate more things about where you can open carry.
Right.
So it's a group effort.
Yeah, but I mean, we don't know what's been told to the police. You
Right.
do, and so that's what we was asking you. What are they being trained to do?
They're trained in the concept of community
Right.
policing.
Well,
if they determine that it's legal and they still have people that are alarmed by it, I hope they would take the time to go over and talk to the other
Well,
citizens.
we
that are
would
alarmed.
too. I mean, but that's what we're trying to find out
Right.
is anybody followed up to make sure that they are? I mean, or you see
I
what
have
I'm saying?
not, no.
Right, but you see what I'm saying? I mean,
Right. We answer questions and give them legal
Right.
advice and points, tip points, and then it's up to their lieutenants and sergeants to actually execute tactical plans about how they go about executing what
And-
we teach them how to do.
and as far as the respect thing, most of us in here, I'm pretty sure, is respectful.
Absolutely.
But now I've been in a situation because right now I'm cleaned up, nice cut. When things get running wild on my business I own and everything, I might not look so nice and neat
Right.
3 or 4 months from now. I've had interaction with them where that the first thing they do is come up and they see a man at 3 o'clock in the afternoon with dirty clothes or whatever, and automatically it's almost like you're having to put up with the attitude from them to get through that.
Okay.
And sometimes when you've had a bad day and you've got 5 customers and something blowed up at the shop and you done spent $1,500 that you wasn't expecting, and you're having a bad day and they haven't, and they come up, I mean, it's hard to bite your tongue and be respectful when you're not getting the same respect from somebody that actually, it's not preached that much anymore, but is actually a public servant. They're hard to
Right.
work for me, not look, I mean, that's a two-way street as far as respect.
Part of what we train them to do is to approach that situation and try to de-escalate that situation.
And your older ones will, but a lot of your younger ones still come up with, I mean, I know several, and they think because they have a badge and a gun that they demand respect.
Okay.
Not the fact that, just where I come from, age got respect quicker than about anything else.
Well, I'm sorry you had that experience.
Well, I mean, yeah, but that's what we all run into sooner or later.
Sure.
I mean,
Well, we can't expect perfect behavior out of everyone.
right, but I mean, but
What
we
we're
can't
gonna do is
expect
just strive to work together.
Right. But as long as we know that it's somebody's talking to them on the other end.
Right. I mean, we go over scenarios and are like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do?
Right.
And I tell you, I mean, what they want to do is lay you down over the hood of that car, pat you down, and de-arm you. And I tell them, look, you determine they're legal, that cannot happen.
And see, that right there just contradicted what your first thing was.
That's telling you that's what they wanted.
Well, I know what I'm saying. That's what they want to do. But a while ago, you were saying that was the first line of support for the Second Amendment. And if you want them to throw me over a hood and pat me down, then that is not really the first line of Second. I mean,
I'm telling you, that's how they've been trained.
I realize that, but
since the beginning of their training about how to deal with a man in a public place that is a potential threatening situation, you are retraining them based on this open carry. So there's going to be some stops and starts and some friction. And what we got to make sure is that when we deal with this friction, we don't have two armed people escalating a situation.
I realize that, but
we got to de-escalate.
But there's another misnomer. Open carry has always been legal. It's politicians and law that wanted to make everybody think it wasn't legal. This open carry is not something new. It's just now been forced into where that we're not getting harassed for it. We've got a law that actually clarifies it now.
Right.
But it's always been legal. And that's one of the biggest misnomers that you have to fight is folks don't realize it's always been legal.
Right, because you've got a traditionally trained law enforcement unit
that was trained
under concealed carry.
Well, but they was trained to actually go against your civil right of open carry. I mean, because it's always been legal, so therefore it was one of your civil rights.
And I'm not arguing with you, and I'm not disagreeing with you.
So
I just.
All right. I mean, but
it's the tone of the conversation that seems a little disparaging to our law. I'm not saying you are, but I'm just saying they're not running around trying to disrespect you. I promise you that.
And I promise you, I'm not anti-cop. I got two brother-in-laws that's cops.
I appreciate that.
But I'm telling you that from personal experience, look at the video. People, the thin blue line is not perfect.
No. I'm sorry.
Got one on trial right now with the incident there in Madison. So sometimes we don't have to take the kid gloves off on them too.
It's our job. It's the job of not only the citizens but the entities like the DA's office to hold everyone accountable.
Right. And see, the minute
we're not doing right, we need to be able to.
And see right there, the minute that a civilian says anything that's halfway even remotely against the cop, automatically you're sort of deemed bashing the cop, when you might actually just be telling the truth.
Well, what we're trying to do is just have an earnest conversation.
Right. And that's what I'm doing. And
I appreciate it.
There's costing that officer also has to make sure he goes home at the end of the shift.
That's the very first thing I say in that training. We can talk about search and seizure. We can talk about tactics. The number one rule of search and seizure in your training is to make sure you go home at the end of your shift. No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Let's let this gentleman here get.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make one comment briefly and ask one question. I think we all need to keep in mind that even before the recent spate of LEL killing, that any officer on duty approaching any vehicle or any person is subject to being shot or hacked. I've been stopped a few times in my life by officers. I never felt that my life was threatened by their approach. And I'm just saying, an officer today, if I were an officer today, to me it would be an absolute foolish to approach any situation and not be ready for a weapon to be produced. So I really, in my case, I can't tell anybody else what to do. In my case, I try to give him the opportunity to do his job in a calm and peaceful manner. I watched the video on that black woman down in Texas here a while back, that was stopped and ended up in jail and then ended up with suicide. And I saw the videos on several different places, and I watched that, and she began to escalate that situation immediately. And maybe I'm not saying he handled it properly, but she didn't do a thing to help herself. She made it worse from the first minute he spoke to her. And but my question is this: I'm afraid I know the answer, but let's say that I'm carrying that I have a pretty hefty piece of artillery, maybe might be 11 Colt, and a bag in my car, and I have a concealed carry on my person. I jump out, run in the convenience store, and forget to lock my car. As I come back out, there's somebody getting out of my car with that bag, and I know what's in it. He may not know, but I know, and I say stop and produce my concealed weapon as I tell him to stop, and he turns and runs, and I shoot him, because I know what's in the bag, I know what's going to be done with it. Now, what kind of trouble am I in?
Well, in that case, it's always going to turn on the standard self-defense law. I mean, that doesn't change. You know, if that person has armed himself in a way that you think is a legitimate, reasonable threat to you or others, then you have the right to utilize the amount of force that's reasonably necessary to defend yourself or others. And that's just old-fashioned self-defense law. There's nothing about Second Amendment or guns that have changed any of
Well,
that.
I didn't know if he didn't have it in his hand, on the grip, whether that would apply or
It's
not.
an objective reasonableness standard.
Okay.
Under the facts and circumstances, it was reasonable for you to act in the way you did based on there being a legitimate threat to your life and safety, and the law of self-defense will protect you in that situation.
Just one thing, but we got one right back
Yeah.
there.
Do you agree with the current gun laws right now?
Yes.
Is there only one gun law? We already have that one.
I'm not following the
I'm asking you, don't we already have one current gun law right now in the Constitution, which is the Second Amendment?
correct. Have the
And
second.
you agree with the current gun laws that we have that legislators have passed?
Be more specific. We got
I'm asking you, do you agree with the gun
multiple
laws right now that exist right now by the legislature? All of them?
all of them.
Yeah.
We don't have to go case by case. I mean, asking a blanket question like that. Are you asking like, do I disagree with what is prohibited from possessing a firearm in this federal statute right here? Like, I completely agree with that.
Okay, what if we, let's say that we've got a veteran that's come back. All right, he gets, what, how many?
I don't want to move y'all from your spots, but come back here just a little bit more so everybody can actually hear all this questions. Come on back where you be heard by the camera there. There you go.
Let's say you got a veteran that comes back with PTSD. He's drinking. He gets, what, how many DUIs does it take to make a felony?
4.
3, 4 years?
4.
So his gun rights are taken away. Do you agree that he needs to get them back, or should he never carry a gun again?
We have a process in that situation. If you can go to the Alabama Board of Pardons and Parole and be pardoned or have your rights restored, then that person gets their rights back.
That's all good.
So, I mean,
Okay,
I wanted to ask, now this gentleman here said he comes back out of the convenience store, and he knows what's in that bag. But if the guy that has the bag, if he doesn't brandish that weapon, and he's just holding the bag, if this gentleman shoots that guy, now, which way, I'm trying to help what he was asking.
Sure.
He's saying, do I have the right to shoot? If the guy doesn't brandish the weapon, and he's not aware of what's in the bag, where does that gentleman stand now?
like I'm saying, to apply that same objective, reasonable standard. Was that a legitimate threat to his life and safety under the facts and circumstances? You can turn a fact, you can turn a circumstance, and then the application of that legal principle changes dramatically.
Exactly.
Okay, and then that's part of the reason, you know, we've got, well, if self-defense applies, that generates immunity. Right? If we want to charge somebody with a crime for doing that, there's a process to where we present that case to a grand jury, for example, and 18 citizens come in and they examine those facts and circumstances and apply their common sense and reason to it to see whether or not you gunned somebody down for breaking into your car versus defended yourself.
Exactly.
All right, and then there's another step in that process. If you do end up getting charged, you're entitled to a jury trial where I've got to prove whatever case it is beyond a reasonable doubt in front of a neutral and fair, guess what, circuit judge. Okay? All right, so, you know, all of those facts and circumstances, you know, you can sit there and hypothetical, but you change one fact, you change one circumstance. I had a law professor used to always say, out of the facts, the law arises. All right, because You know, self-defense, for example, is an exception to murder being illegal. You know, there you go. All right.
Well, he's kind of answered one of my questions, but to get back to something somebody said earlier, now, as a, you know, this is just a case that I've had come up personally in the past few days. We were helping run a kind of security detail through Wilson Park over the weekend. We had many thousands of dollars worth of products and goods and services inside the park. And like on Friday night, we only had one officer who had volunteered to give up his evening off to help patrol the park. And he was in uniform and everything, but we were giving them a hand by, you know, patrolling inside the park and stuff. We were associated with the Renaissance Fair that was going on in there. And, you know, it was dark, so I carried. And I never had a problem with these officers. I never had any kind of, you know, issue come up or anything like that. Matter of fact, the officers were very professional at all times, cooperative, friendly, and grateful for the help. So I think that's kind of the kind of thing that we need to have encouraged by law enforcement officers, by officers of the court, such as yourself, and by anybody else in general. If there is a shooting self-defense or shooting prevention by nature, you know, might want to check and make sure you're covering all the bases before you go to the press conference, is all I ask. You know, I don't want us to manufacture a bad guy with a gun. You know, that'd be nice.
Appreciate your comment. Thank you.
Does anybody have anything else for Mr. Powell? Oh, one more.
Yes, sir.
What brandishing of a firearm is, what's the laws on it, what would be considered brandishing?
Brandishing is a motion like you're going to use it. Yeah, that's like that. When the law talks about possessing versus brandishing, that means you're making a move. Like, for example, there's a federal enhancement for brandishing, for example. You know, like it may be in that federal statute there, possession with drugs is one enhancement, but then if you actually brandish it, you know, in some kind of way that facilitates the crime, that's another enhancement. And that's built out throughout the law. You know, most of our criminal laws are designed to escalate punishment for the further and further people go in using firearms to do illegal bad things. You know, and that's the primary response that the Alabama criminal laws have in prosecuting gun violence and helping protect people. All right, thank you for your question. All right.
What's your thought on grand juries?
I think grand juries are an absolutely fundamental, vital part of the American criminal justice system. Its value was more than proven in colonial days when they were exonerating patriots against false and erroneous charges by the colonial government.
But hadn't it been known to be used to destroy men too?
Everything within the system can be a double-edged sword if it's used inappropriately by bad people. I'm not going to disagree.
Thank you, Mr. Powell.
Thank y'all. I'm going to be quiet now. Mr. Pettis needs the floor. He's running for the county commissioner.
Guys, I want to take just 1 minute before Mr. Pettis speaks and just clarify a couple of things. I know that somebody looking out from the inside, or looking in from the outside, I should say, could take some of the comments tonight to be cop bashing. Shoals Second Amendment is about as pro-gun of an organization as you will ever find. We appreciate our officers. Law enforcement has the same problem that every profession has. There's always going to be one or two in the mix that are bad apples, and unfortunately there will always be the ones that get the most attention. But just because we may pick on the bad ones, we are very, very happy with the good ones. We've got a lot of them in our group, and we hope that they will continue with that. But I don't want anybody that watches this video online and that's the only interaction that they have with us to think that that just because we will call out the bad ones that we're anti-law enforcement, because that could be, there couldn't be anything farther from the case. Just recently, we raised $2,600 for an injured deputy that, just because it was the right thing to do. So now we're going to have Mr. Danny Pettis speak to us and hear what he has to say. And again, he's running for chairman of the county commission here in Lauderdale County.
I'm on back. Sound like it? Okay, there we go. Like I don't like to talk when people's at my back. I am Danny Pettis. I'm county commissioner now, basically from Chisholm Highway to Elk River on the east side, and I'm running for chairman of the county commission. That's currently held by Dewey Mitchell. He says he's not running again. I do have a Republican opponent, so I need your vote. I helped co-found the Tea Party, one of the 5 or 6 people that did that. I had a man ask me Saturday at a breakfast, he said, what do y'all believe in the Tea Party? I said, well, I don't speak for everybody. I'll just tell you how it is in Lauderdale County. We believe in upholding good morals and doing everything we can to keep our Constitution in place, not lose our freedom. I'm for the Second Amendment, but I'm for all of them, because I understand something. You know, some people have a passion. I really want to keep my freedom of religion, freedom of speech, my right to bear arms, freedom of the press, whatever. But we have to be for all of them. Because the bottom line is, if you lose one, and it don't matter which one, it'll be a domino effect. And you just start losing one after the other. And when there's some kind of shooting at a school, then you hear people do what? They're against the Second Amendment. You know, they want to limit it, whatever. But in reality, there's people that they're not that much worried about just the Second Amendment. They just want to do away with the Constitution. And they're going to take advantage of whatever comes along at the time and cry out. And so we have, all of us got to stand together to keep every one of our freedoms and be on the fight for all of them. And I'm on that with the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, the whole Constitution, the Bill of Rights, is to keep them. And there are devious ways that people try to undermine the Second Amendment. Common Core is one of them. Do you realize our children are not taught cursive writing now? And that's how the Declaration, the Constitution, and the Federalist Papers. If you can't read cursive, how do you really know what it says? I'm talking about the next generation never learned how to read cursive, never learned how to write. The generation after that. And people can type up anything they want to type up and say, this is what it says. And who's to know the difference? There's nobody in the country to read cursive and actually go to the source and where it is. Here's where I'm coming at. I had a grandmother bring me a Common Core textbook on government. I forget if it was the 5th grade or the 6th grade. And you know what? The textbooks in Lauderdale County, and it's all over the country now, I sat there and read it. I forget the page. I was just looking at this little black block that's taught in this county. It had dealt with the Second Amendment. In our textbooks, this 5th or 6th grade book said with the Second Amendment, and then it said the military has the right to bear arms. That's what's in our books here in Lauderdale County. So you can type what you want, can't you? We all know that's not right. That's, yeah, maybe part of it, but I have a right to bear arms. All of us have a right to bear arms. That's what the Common Core textbook says, that our kids are taught right now. And if you can't read cursive, no, you can read his type and print. Eventually, what generation is going to know the difference? They're coming at us every way they can. And a lot of people don't even know they're coming at us that way, and I didn't realize it till that grandmother showed me that textbook. And then I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. That's not the Second Amendment. That's what I hear on MSNBC. That's in our textbook. The military has the right to bear arms. And the rest of the page, it wasn't in that bold print, the rest of the page and then the second page was making the same point. Then it goes on to another amendment. And so it comes at us every way, and it can even come at us. And where I am now as a county commissioner, and it can come at us of what I'm trying to go at as being the chairman of that commission. It can happen through grants too. You know, when the government dangles $500,000 in front of you, some people don't even read what that grant says. They just vote it in. You know, pass it, and that's good. And then it's in the paper, we got $500,000. When I first became commissioner, I started reading right off the bat, first grant. I said, I'd like to have a copy of that. Well, I'd like to have a copy of that. Oh, okay. Well, I'll bring it. I'll get you one. When? Well, okay, tomorrow? Okay, thank you. And I read every grant. If I don't, my wife does. She really helps me out. And she knows what we're looking for. Anything goes against the Constitution, anything that will go against our property rights or whatever it is. The way I learned about this to start with was good friends of mine. You remember when the tornado came through Tuscaloosa? And I'm just throwing out a number, they'd have like $150,000 total replacement on their house. But it cost $275,000 to build it back. Because the city of Tuscaloosa took grants, and in the fine print was the standards that a house had to be built back to within, I forget the exact number, like a half mile or a mile of the river, Warrior River. And it was way past hurricane proof. And people that I know, and a lot of property owners had to walk away from their property because they could take what the insurance offered but they didn't want to borrow another 100,000 to go with all these standards to get that house built back, and walked away from it. And our federal government and the city of Tuscaloosa in with it bought up a lot of that property on the river. See, that's just one thing, but here's what they discovered. The city of Tuscaloosa had taken grants, and that was one of the conditions. They took away those people's property rights, didn't they? They didn't mean to, I don't think. But they wasn't reading what they... And so when I became commissioner, and I'm still doing it, and I'm going to do it, you know, the federal government can sneak taking your gun rights away right in the middle of a grant, too. And whatever they have in mind they want to do. And the city council better be reading them. I don't know what they do. I think I'm the only commissioner that's flat out reading every sentence, and my wife's reading them and trying to make sure that we don't lose our property rights, we don't lose our gun rights, we don't lose any freedom that we have. It's a whole lot to be in a commissioner. It's a whole lot to be in a chairman of the commission. A lot of people think you just fix potholes. Well, we do. We do. But you see, the whole $29 million last year of tax money went to us, and then we got to play with it. And we disperse it and whatever. To the sheriff's department, to the EMA department, to the road department, to the waste department. It makes a whole county run. And so, responsibility. It's a big responsibility. And one of the very main points that I look at is keeping all our freedoms and making sure that we don't let them be taken away in any shape, form, or fashion, even a grant or whatever. The less government, the better. Wasn't a lot of government with the founding fathers, was it? But I do want to be in government for that very point, protecting our freedoms and protecting our rights and doing everything that I can for a county. And I can tell you a whole lot more about the commission, but this setting tonight, it looks just like it would be something we talk about freedom. So. But I am Danny Pettis, running for the commission chairman. The election is the very first day of March. It comes right in on Tuesday. And I would really appreciate your vote, and I'll be glad now to take any kind of questions or comments from you that you have.
Danny, are you beginning to see anything in these grants you're reading that is compliant with Agenda 21, other than the Tuscaloosa River thing you're talking about?
We haven't had one here yet since I've been commissioner, but
So people need to know, and they may know a lot more about this than I do, but I do know that Agenda 21, one of the intents, there are many intents, one of them is to remove all human activity at a minimum of 10 miles away on either side of any waterway. I don't know if you're aware of what the EPA recently trying to make a big power grab. They were basically taking over control of any water from the time a water drop falls on your property until it got to the ocean. And out in Texas, Oklahoma, along the Red River, they took away hundreds of thousands of acres from owners just a while back. That may still be under litigation, or I don't know what the status of it is, but they took it. Whether they have to give it back or not, But Agenda 21 is a recipe for total control of everything by government, including population control. And when they say population, they're not talking about where you, well, part of it's where you can live, where you can't. But it also has to do with the number of people that are allowed to survive.
Right.
And so I just wondered if, well, okay, Florence has got this big billboard up here right now congratulating themselves for having been designated a gold community by PBA and EPA and so forth. A lot of the standards that go into these things are Agenda 21 standards, and it's all working toward taking away, completely taking away every freedom you've got.
Yeah. If they go platinum, we will be where Tuscaloosa was. That is one of the key words I look at in those grants, is that one word, sustainable. And that is, it's set up on how far you want to go with it. Some people are to the recycled plastic and cardboard and whatever, and it can go as far as it went with Tuscaloosa and even further. And so I'm all for recycling, but I'm not for getting it to the point like it ended up in Tuscaloosa. Florence is heading that way, unfortunately, with their property rights. But
Forgive us for interrupting, but I've got to get my beautiful young wife home to get her beauty rest.
okay.
Thank you. And I appreciate all the effort you guys are putting into Second Amendment, trade politics, conservative politics is what you do with the Tea Party, and you're being here to represent constitutional government. I'm sorry I don't know these other gentlemen's names, but, and the other guys that work for Second Amendment. Thank you so much. This is my first meeting, first time I've known there was a meeting, and so we're here. Thank you. Trey want to send this message. Thanks, Trey.
Anything else?
What can you do as a commissioner or as chairman of the commission to help fight Agenda 21 or the Common Core in the schools?
Well, I fight it, but as a commissioner, I can make sure, because if Agenda 21 comes in, it's going to be through those grants.
Yeah, but what about Common Core? I mean, what can you do? What can the county, the county commission board, do to help influence the education and everything on the Common Core?
Yeah.
Anything?
We don't, that's more the school board. It's definitely the state school board. That's why it's here. The commission don't have much to do with Common Core. I fight it talking to my local school board. I fight it talking to the state school board. I fight it talking to my legislators, because in reality, they are over the school board, according to the law.
Right.
And they could, but they're, what got me so disappointed is I was one that helped get it through pressure, I guess you call it. It came out of a committee in the House 2 years ago to repeal it. My cover would not bring it to the floor for a vote. It had the votes to repeal it. Dale Morris wouldn't bring it to the floor in the Senate. That's pro temp of the Senate. And so what happened? It died. We're still stuck with it. A lot of people think they'll start dealing with math. It's a whole lot deeper than math. And it's an international thing. And I can tell you know about it. You can get on the UN webpage and see all about Agenda 21 too. And
they're changing the name of that.
Yeah, it's
2030.
It went from a millennium to what's it called now?
2030.
2030. Okay.
Which tells you they want it in 15 years.
Yeah, and they keep changing the name and you have to stay away. We got all these key words I'm looking at in these grants, make sure that's not in there, and gonna keep doing it. It's good to see people that even know what Agenda 21 is, because a lot of people, Agenda 21, what's that? Everybody now knows what Common Core is, but they don't understand what I was telling you about how they reword the Second Amendment and all that. Most people's just dealing with math. It's a little much more than that, isn't it? Anything else?
Yeah, I've got something. I wanted to thank you for just talking about Common Core, because I think what a lot of people miss is when you hear about it on the news, you hear about it in passing, you hear about the grumblings about it, you think it's about education, and you think it's about your children, and you think it's about how your children are learning. It is so much more than that. It is a movement within our education system. It is a movement to limit our rights. The folks that want to limit gun rights, and I know I'm preaching to the choir to most folks, but there are folks that don't realize this with Common Core. The push to limit gun rights, the people that are pushing to do away with the Second Amendment have a 30, 40-year goal in mind. They're not thinking about the next election. They're not thinking about the following election. They're thinking about training our children to hate guns and to be afraid of guns, so that in 30 years, when they start pushing for it, they'll have a large majority of the population that are starting to vote that have a negative or even a neutral feeling toward guns. So as he said, part of his position in the commission is to make sure that citizens that don't normally in their day-to-day see this going on are aware of it, because it is a big deal that's coming out to our children that we've got to watch. And a lot of you have grandchildren that aren't really paying close attention to the education system. Pay very close attention to what they're teaching the kids right now.
Amen to that. Those people are very patient, and you hit an exact spot. They don't care if it's our generation, just as long as they get it. If it takes them 50 years, and that's they're heading, we've got to. I'm not patient. I'm very. I can't stop it, but anything else? John?
We all know that recently Sheriff Singleton came up before the county commission asking for more funding and for more money for the deputies mainly, for their uniforms and their pay and whatnot. Where do you stand on that? Because I was shocked to learn what a deputy actually makes for what they do. Where would you stand, and how did you vote as far as whether to give them a raise or not?
Well, they got the whole chart 2.5% more. I voted for, when we put it out there, for 10% more. I got voted down on that. But I have came up with something that all commissioners can be in agreement with. And I've been talking to county employees about it. We have 243 employees. You got to try to keep everybody happy. The way our county is set up, you can't just raise deputy pay. I mean, you can, but whatever you raise it, you have to raise all 243 employees. That's the way it's set up. I didn't have anything to do with that. That's just the way it is. And so I'm coming up with, I've got a plan. I better not go too much in detail on it, but to get it up, it's pitiful of what a deputy makes. Yeah, I got a letter even in my billfold from Rick Singleton when I voted to get that 10% more on the front end. It got voted down, but he wrote me a letter because he didn't want me anybody. So I appreciate of him writing a letter and making the point how much he appreciated the way I voted and trying to get it. And I'm not through with it yet. It's going to get better, but it's not just the deputies. It's even with the road department, and especially the road department and the waste department. It's around $8. Well, you actually end up bringing home about $6.50 an hour after everything's took out. You can do better than that at Walmart. But here you are out here fighting cold weather and hot weather. So it's not just deputies. And I've got a plan. I can't go too far. I might not get it executed. But I've got a plan. I've got everybody on board. This group might enjoy hearing what you learned about Mr. Irvis, he says everybody might enjoy hearing what I found out about the Confederate widow tax. Okay. Okay. Right now, we're paying property tax of $500,000 in Alabama to fund the pension for Confederate widows. I'm not joking.
So is that just going in the general fund?
When I first found out about that, I just shake my head, but the money is going, a portion of our property tax, I'm paying it, you're paying it, it's going to I finally traced down some of it, I haven't found all of it yet. It's going to the State Department of Human Resources. At the time they dispersed it to the Department of Human Resources in every county. Of course, now they don't disperse it to the Department of Human Resources in every county because there's no Confederate widows living. But I have found out 100 and something thousand go to the Confederate Memorial Park. Some of it goes to veterans, but I haven't. What? That's a broad category, isn't it? And I don't know what they're doing with the rest of it. Yeah, the last night around something, some soldier married a 20-something-year-old woman in 19 or something, but isn't it amazing what all you can find out when you start getting inside government? You're trying to do right and cut spending and cut waste and just I don't even know how to get that repealed. That was a state amendment. So that's another thing we're going to have to get on to our representatives about.
So then every county is sending in roughly $500,000.
When it's all added up, it's $500,000.
Oh, is $500,000 from statewide?
Statewide.
Okay, I thought it was $500,000 from
so if you're paying property tax, you're paying a portion of that $500,000. So any meal is going of what you send in that you better get paid by the 31st of December. It's going down there.
Anybody else have anything for Mr. Pettis?
Thank you.
Why are they stocking up for that next Confederate batch of Confederate widows?
I want to thank Mr. Pettis and Mr. Powell both for coming out and speaking, taking the time to speak to our group. I think this thing's dead and I'm going to give up. Y'all can't hear me, just let me know and I'll yell louder or I'll get Carlos to repeat me.
There you go.
I know we talked about this a little bit earlier. I'm gonna go over it just one more time real quick before we start drawing for our prize. These white tickets are $1 a chance, or 11 for $10. They're for this 1,000 rounds of .22 ammunition that we're going to raffle off on December 5th.
And if you buy $100 worth, Jeff will write your name on them for you.
All of the money from this goes to Santa's for Seniors, which is Shoals.
Do you know who wound up writing that?
Charity. This is one that we started. It's not something that we just we send a check to somewhere else. We take this money and we go buy and put together gift bags for underprivileged senior citizens right here in the Shoals area. Every penny of it goes to them. Last year we had about $2,800 to spend. We spent it on 108 gift bags, and we broke the handles on some of them. We had too much stuff piled. I mean, we had throw blankets and gripper socks and candy and hair care stuff.
Books.
Handwritten Christmas cards in each and every one of them. John back there thought his hand was going to fall off by the time he signed all the Christmas cards. We figured he can't see, and most of the folks in the home can't see that well, they can read his handwriting. If anybody wants any of these, let us know before you go. We'll be happy to get them for you. Did everybody here get a blue ticket when you came in? Does everybody have one of these blue tickets? Deliver that man a blue ticket. If anybody, this one right over here. If anybody doesn't have it, make sure they get one. Those are for our door prizes. Except for, let me move these before somebody gets me on technicality. All of this stuff here is for our door prizes. Carlos has donated some of this from his business, Double O Welding and Psychotics Hydrographics. I've donated some of this from my business, J&L Woodworks and Electrical. We've got some stuff here. I think these came from
Shot glass.
Mom Daddy over on Wilson Dam Road. A little bit of this stuff came from over at Shot Glass Guns. Most of your local gun stores have supported us at one time or another, so I want to thank all of them for that. To be honest with you, we've been adding stuff into a box, so I can't really remember exactly what came from who out of this. But that'll be the blue ticket. We also almost forgot this when I had our ledger right on the Ed has brought us a book from Tea Party Patriots in North Alabama. They donated this. What was the founding, or what would the founders say is the name of the book? I haven't read it. I don't think they say anything nice about what our government's been doing. They'd probably be shooting by now instead of talking. Susan wants to say something just a minute here.
For those of you that were not involved in Santa for Seniors last year, we did over 100 gift bags. Now, if you've not had anybody in the nursing home, I work at a nursing home. If you have a Medicaid patient, after your Medicaid, you have $30. That's pajamas, hair supply, you name it. Nursing homes do not supply, they'll supply razors, and they'll supply the basics. They'll get you some soap. But now, will it be the soap you like? Will it be the pajamas you like? You will be wearing a hospital gown. Now, I don't know about y'all, but when Christmas morning came at the facility in Colbert County, we did one whole facility in Colbert County and did an entire wing at one in Lauderdale County. We went by who needed it the most. Santa Claus came to over 100 folks, and there was some switching and swapping because this one had a blue blanket and this one had a green blanket. He didn't like green, he liked blue. But now, there were some very happy individuals, and it was not expensive stuff. It was gloves and a scarf and a cap, a throw blanket that everybody in this building has at least 5 somewhere that we've got from some, everywhere. It was simple stuff, so that's the reason why we go through and try to collect money to help these folks. It's not much, but it is something. So that's why the ammunition, if you just want to give a donation, we will take that too. But we spent every dime and took a week of shopping and sorting and wrapping, and just because. That's our big thing from Shoals Second Amendment. So, any help will be appreciated.
And we can tell you that if you go to Kmart, when that computer scans 264 items, you 249 items, you will have to write a check or pay for it before you can cash, before they can ring you up anything else. And the managers at Kmart did not know that either.
And they can't override. Things get tense about that time. Thank you.
The last raffle that we've got, and this is the one that we'll draw for tonight. These are $5 a ticket. This is for a gift certificate to Southern Defense Supply. We pay out 70% of whatever we take in. The other 30% goes to buy rolls of tickets and print off the literature that we print off, set up the gun shows. Honestly, we do a lot of it out of our own pockets, but it does help every now and then when you go to buy a $20 thing of ink when you don't have to pay for it yourself. If anybody wants one of these, this will be the last thing that we draw for tonight. Let me know before we get to that, and we'll get one to you.
Did you get one?
Right now, it looks like that gift certificate, we've taken in $75. So, just roughly estimating, we're going to be right around a $50 gift certificate on that. And if you don't win the gift certificate, you will also get to draw our gun cleaning kit. I think all of us here probably need this. I know I do. I pulled mine out the other day, and most of you know, I carry two guns. I carry one on my hip, one on my ankle. I pulled the one off my ankle, and I think I had enough pocket lint down in that thing, I could have made one of those loofah sponges out of it.
That would have been ankle lint, wouldn't it?
No, this one was the one he went to do some
We're going to start drawing for the
food.
door prizes. These are the blue tickets. Everybody should have got one. Yeah. Just so everybody knows, I pulled off just a random number for the kids to take around and hand out.
That's when
We had
he's
some
like,
left over,
"You need to
so
clean."
if I call a number and nobody has it, this is why. Or it was Carlos's ticket and we threw it away.
Did they leave?
Yeah.
Get them tickets.
If you don't win, it's her fault.
Yeah, it's her fault, not mine.
Okay,
I'll take one, you take one.
570-761.
What? I got it. We share.
Get what you like to have. All right. Go another one. Well, you gotta come over here and give us full. We try. 570-736. Last three numbers, 736. 570-736. Moving on. Okay.
You know whose tickets this was?
Ours.
No,
Okay.
who's not here? Those will be the ones here.
Ricky Rodney.
728. 570-728.
728.
I know, right?
Pull another one out. We're gonna keep moving through. I know the waitresses would like to be ready. Yeah, I'm pulling on the next one for whoever's behind you. 766. 570-766.
55, 56.
Listen, if
Mine's 52 and
It makes sense to hand them all out first.
720. Last three numbers, 720. Anybody have 720?
Did you empty out the bucket from the last time?
Did you not listen?
nobody's got one.
It's because he's got extra up there that you, because he just pulled them out and separated them.
Don't you still owe me for an advisory board shirt since we're discussing?
Hey. I write you a check.
749. Last three, 749. Huh? Okay, well, let her come get it. 732. 732.
He's mad at me because I want him done, so he won't let me in.
If we do anything, he's gonna hurt you.
Move on.
Make sure you don't get Carlos's.
What was his number?
I don't know.
I ain't got one.
Hey, Brian ain't here tonight.
What?
7-0.
Do what, Kevin?
Brian ain't here tonight.
Neither is Ricky Bobby.
I don't think he shuffled them because we got first and they went on bottom and he's pulling out all them last ones at the top.
He's getting on them front people.
Now, okay?
You get all them politicians, I see how it is.
And Brandon's in Disney World.
753.
Oh, that's gonna be back here. That's back here.
This can never be good. This can always be good. That means we don't die.
We don't get a whooping because Bobby wants something.
Hey,
You gotta love that.
we got that on camera.
Yeah.
739.
7-3.
739.
It's
Last
right
call.
here, Daddy. It's right here.
You don't get to draw for all of you.
Daddy,
763.
Okay, we gotta talk about this comment about how the kids don't get a whooping because you want something.
Yeah, we have it on video.
Okay.
Don't leave it on the table. Somebody will win it.
Too late now.
756.
Ooh, that's one of us.
Yes!
Oh.
What you want?
One number off.
I can't go.
Here, we'll go for you.
I don't care.
I'll take the book.
The book, put in? Okay. I don't know.
724.
Who?
724.
Yep.
Hey, let me do like that.
Carlos would never read anything.
I sure do. And you're lucky that we had batteries.
Thank you.
Because I started giving them without batteries and Susan was like, well, there's batteries in that drawer.
Hey, what size? Double A?
Uh-huh.
I got a whole case of them.
725.
There you go.
Anybody got 725?
Yeah, we do. You like how they call 724, 725, she's 723.
737.
That don't look like no book.
And the book is gone.
737. Anyone got 737?
No.
What you get?
I don't know. It didn't have your name on it, so I got it.
Yeah, there you go.
747.
They could call my number, but then he didn't let me know. Okay, he called the next two too.
What is that? Shotgun shell.
It goes on.
744. 744.
744.
There was not your name on it, so I just,
Yeah, it's something that didn't have my name on it. You got it?
you can give it back next time.
You can donate it back.
726. 726.
That's just rude.
718.
I got some irritant in it and everything.
Hey, we got one.
What's up, brother?